I think the most important critical issue right now is about voting right and rejecting people that you find to be unfit. That means looking at asset declarations of candidates. That means rejecting people who have criminal records or allegations of criminality, allegations of abuse of public resources, who spend their campaign finances on vote buying, who basically abuse power to thieve their way into power. So the importance of the vote, especially at this election year, cannot be understated. Because if you look at the culmination of the entire Aragale, yes, the Rajapakshas were thrown out of government unceremoniously, but we ostensibly have the same government in place, right? So if we ever get to a point of elections, and we are at a point when we are struggling to even have elections, where elections are illegally and indefinitely postponed. So if an election is so hard fought, and we manage to get to the point of polls, I think we should appreciate the value of it a lot more than we have. We've taken it for granted over the years. So why we should also think about why the elections are being postponed so desperately. That is because the power of the elections are felt by those in power right now, because there was a tidal wave of protests that was unprecedented. So the politicians are taking the power of the people seriously enough to postpone elections. For us to be under the threat that elections, presidential elections might unconstitutionally not happen, that the parliamentary elections may not happen. That means to that extent, those in power are clinging on to power because there's no guarantee that they'll be re-elected.
Are you trying to say that elections will not be held this year?
Again, I'm not Nostradamus either, but there is the risk of that. If you look at precedent that's already been set, the local government elections have been illegally and indefinitely postponed. That is fact. So I don't have to predict this. There is certainly a possibility that this will illegally happen. So then the question is, if such a desperate attempt has been already made to delay elections, that in itself would tell you what the power of the vote is. So I think the most important thing for the people to keep in mind is to reject bad politicians and do your part. So you need to, I mean, we, all of us as citizens, and I'm not by any chance, in any sense preaching here, we all need to recognize what the legitimate mandate of a politician is, as so Dr. Sara was saying.
I want to go back. I want to go back to the year 2020, Sankhitha, the parliamentary elections. If you look at it, the UNP was rejected by the people. They were considered as bad politicians. None of the members were elected by the people. They had one seat. That seat, fortunately, unfortunately, was occupied by Ranil Wickremesinghe, who is now the president. However, at least the people in Colombo and the urban areas are of the view that the president is doing a good job. There are no long queues anymore. There is no long 13-hour power cuts in the country. Everything is hunky-dory. The dollar is coming down. All this is in the right direction.
I think we should be careful about treating the people of Colombo as a monolith. Again, going back to the original point I was saying, there may be a few people very loudly saying that what the president is doing is right. That does not mean that the majority feel that way, and the only way we can find that out.
In the event there is an election, he may lose.
He may lose, he may win, we don't know, but what is crucial is that we put that to the test, going back to the point of election. So to your question of what should the people do,
so when people want a systemic change in 2022 from the Aragale, do you think the present government has been able to give them that?
I don't think so. I don't think so, because what the people wanted was a change in systems. So what change in systems are we seeing? What they were calling for?
But aren't we back to square one, Sankhitha? But we spoke about corruption in 2015. I remember individuals in the caliber of Dr. Sara were advocating for good governance. People in the caliber of Lassil De Silva spoke about good governance. Look at where we are today.
I absolutely agree with
about
you.
corruption 8 years down the line.
I absolutely agree with you, but we should also keep in mind that change, and this is in no way meant to be a defense of the current government or the 2015 government or any government, but change also takes place incrementally. So it is important for civil society and for people, especially in this kind of state where we don't have many options, where domestic remedies seem to be failing, to not lose hope and to keep pushing for that change and keep doing your part at elections, between elections, as an active citizen, to push towards that change. So certainly we don't have an ideal situation, we have a desperate situation, which makes our role all the more important.